bit of a full desk, but I thought I'd do a quick video, and the bits that we're using are the bits here at the front, which is a Halloween card. As you can see, I've been making some Christmas cards, which are just finishing setting where I've used some glue gel, so I've just popped those at the back. So we've just got a little bit of space at the front, but what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using the Happy Hauntings cartridge, and I'm going to be doing this witch. And as you may or may not have seen, depending on the order that I've uploaded these videos, I used the witch for a little trick-or-treat bag earlier, and it was a great cut, so I thought I'd use it again. And I've been using this Echo Park paper pad, which I don't know where I got, but Echo Park, you know, people can get in all different places. I can't remember where I specifically got this, probably online. And it's got some great images and different patterns in there that aren't necessarily even Halloween, like this beautiful polka dot, but then you've got this great cobweb design. So there's some great patterns in here. I noticed that in the latest Cricut magazine that they've been using this Echo Park for some of the cards, and really annoyingly I noticed in there that one of my design ideas for a card, which I thought was really original, has already been used, so that's a bit annoying, so you won't be seeing that one. So what I've done is I've taken 2 sheets from the Echo Park, and I basically just scored along the top here at about 1/2 inch, centimetre, something like that. And then I've just glued the two together to give it a little bit more weight at the back, because I am going to be adding an element on the front, and also to make it easier to write, I've put another piece inside, and that just gives it a little bit more stability. But I just loved using this as the actual card base, because it just looks great as, you know, having the patterns on the inside as well, and then even on the back you've got that great design. So I just think it makes it a little bit more fun, and this whole picture is just so much fun. And then I've got here the stamp set from Pink Cricut, which is a great stamp set for Halloween, and I believe she's just brought out a new one for Halloween as well, but I don't have that, but this is just fine for me. In England we don't have such a big thing for Halloween as I think you do in America, so I don't need that as much. So I'm going to possibly be using that. We'll see how we go. So then what I've done is I've just used some basil cardstock. Got black, orange and 2 shades of green, and this kind of orange is, as you can see, is a reasonable match for that. So now I'm going to go over to my Cricut and we're going to start cutting these layers. Okay, so let's load our mat, and I think I'm running out of battery, so I'm going to try and be quick. Okay, so my witch, the first thing I need is my first layer, which is this one here, and that's going to be in the orange. The reason is, if you look, her little feet and the cape are in the purple. I'm happening to do that in the orange, and that's the only element that has that in, so we know that that has to be that particular colour, and the black is the shift on this one. Okay, so let's look for our witch, and it's there, and I think I'm going to try this at 3 inches, and let's see what happens. So I've got my speed and depth and everything basically at max. I'm thinking that looks like a really nice size, so let's try line return. Yeah, I think that looks quite good, and then we'll whiz across to my black, and then we'll do the shift and my witch, and same size, same cutting, etc., and press cut. We're going to be doing this dark green, which is actually her face, so we're going to be just take that across, take our blade away, and that's for layer 1 and our witch, and press cut when it's ready. Oh, I've just moved the size buttons, just make sure you don't do that, and press cut. Okay, and then I'm going to whiz along to our paler green. And for that you've got the shift for the other face and also her hand, but I actually, although they've done it in a paler green, I want to do the broom, sort of brush part of the broom in the same colour, so I'm going to do both elements. And I want now my layer 2 and my witch. Cut. so let's now take it back to layer 1 and shift. Okay, and then unload paper, and all our pieces are cut, so I'm going to go and put that together and we'll meet back at the table. Okay, so here's our mat with all our elements on, so let's just lift the paper. And I think it's going to be a great size, and it's cut really nicely as well, even though it's quite small and quite detailed. That's our little face. So just pop these elements, and just make sure you leave them the same way round, because it could be very easy, I think, to get confused with what goes what way round with these smaller pieces. Okay, so let's glue these together now, and I'm just going to use some wet adhesive. I've got some PVA tacky glue, which is very similar to your Scotch quick dry glue, I think, so same sort of idea. And we'll just put a little bit of this on the back of this black bit here. It's great glue, this, actually. I really like this tacky glue. Okay. And then if you line up the little broomstick, I think, because that's quite a detail, and pick it up in your hands, I find that a lot easier to do. There we go. Isn't that fab? Okay, and then we've got our next pieces here. So I'm going to do the little broom sort of, I don't know, I guess it'd be the kind of brush part of the broom, really. I'll put that on. There we go. And then we're going to do her face. And this is the dark layer, is the bottom layer that you put on. And it suddenly starts to come together. There we go. And then we do the lighter layer on her face. Whoops. So, and you can really see how it's beginning to shadow up. And then the last piece that we need to do is her handle. On the handle. And I'm just going to spread that out with my finger, that bit of glue. And then that's just on here, and it's just to sort of make it look like her hand's there with the broom handle going through her hand. And there is our little witch all made up. I think that looks great. I really like that. Okay, so now we need to put it on the card. Okay, so getting our card now. And I'm just going to look at where I want to put the witch. I'm thinking that it might be a good idea to just ink around the edges on her there because she looks a little lost against the background there. So I'm just going to use some chalk ink, and which is the Verse Magic, and one of these little daubers. I may have enough on here, so I'll just, yeah, I'll just use what's on there, I think. And then around her feet. That's the beauty of these daubers, you've got loads of ink on them. And then we'll do some around the edges of the broomstick. There we go. Let's see what that looks like on the card. Oh, that's much better. There we go. That makes her pop a little bit more. Okay, so now I'm going to be using my 3D glue gel to pop her up so that she's got some dimension. But I don't want it like massively high, so I'm not going to do loads of height, just a little. Now the beauty with the glue gel is if you wanted to, you could manoeuvre the element that you're going to put down so that it's got more of a sort of curve to it or whatever to give it a bit more dimension, but I actually don't want to do that. Now what I also don't want to do is cover that little bat. I'm just going to clean up that bit of gel there that's showing through. There we go. So let's think about where her, I think. Liking that. Okay, now the last thing I need to do is put my sentiment on at the bottom, and we've got Wish You Were Here, Happy Fright Night, Best Witches, Knock 'em Dead, Have a Spooktacular Day, Boo, Happy Halloween, No Tricks or Treats. So there's loads of notes on there, but I'm thinking that I really like Best Witches. I think that just seems a little bit of fun. Okay, so I've got my little clarity stamp handle, which I'm going to use to stamp this image, and I think I'm going to use the brown chalk ink to do it with, just to give a slightly more vintagey look to it. And the beauty with Sarah's stamps is that you literally can stamp straight out the box, which is really cool. There we go. Okay, so here's our finished card. I hope you've enjoyed making it with me, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.